Hello and good evening, wonderful viewers, wherever you are. Maybe good morning, good afternoon. It depends where you're watching us. Welcome back to Atlantic TV, the TV revolution, of course, as we call it, the home of TV revolution. And it's another episode of your favorite sports program on TV called Sport 360 Live, only on Atlantic TV. I'm the host, Bakary Manneh, aka Big Sam, and today is going to be another wonderful one. Yes, because I have the one and only, my own little brother, my own little guy that's here today. Of course, one of Gambia's finest sport writer and sport journalist. Welcome to Sport 360 again. This is no other than Lamin Jara, aka Steve. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Big Sam, and of course, it's a pleasure to be on board for this program. Like always, it's always amazing.
Yeah, you are not new into this program, yeah.
Yeah, it's always amazing when Big Sam calls. There is always one answer, and the answer is always yes, because of all those years and what has happened. So it's a pleasure to be on board. I'm looking forward to a very good session.
Well, there you go. And of course, like I said, Sport 360 Live comes on air every Sunday from the hour 8 to 9 o'clock. And of course, like we said, you can see under sponsors invited for us to bring you more of this wonderful. And today, you're going to hear a very, very good story and a very good sport program for that matter. But first and foremost, you've been coming on this program, but today it's going to be a little bit deep. We will have to dig a little bit deep. Before we get into, we'll talk about sports in general and especially football, Gambian football. But first and foremost, who is Lamin Jara? Some call him Lamin Jara, Steve. Tell us a little bit about Jara, born, what's the name, where, and a little bit of touch of the educational background.
Thank you very much. I think that is one of the most difficult questions to talk about. You know, when you're asked to speak about yourself, it's always in a funny situation. But again, nonetheless, this is me and this is Lamin Jara. That's my name, like you just mentioned, born on the 12th of December of course 1989. And of course went to New Josuang Primary School, Kandiba School they call it.
Kandiba,
all those years in 97, 98, up to the early parts of 2000 where I completed. And of course in 2004 was it I went to grade 7, where I relocated because we were staying in Serekunda, while I was on my primary school's course. Then from there we went to Brikama. Then I was in Jamisa Upper and Senior Secondary School. This is how I came to Brikama, and I did my grade 7, 8, and 9 in that school and sat to the exams. The Gabeke, and so fortunately and unfortunately for me, did well, but again, I felt that, I could have done better.
Okay.
And that's always the case. And from there, that was, my performance was enough to take me to the senior secondary school. Due to the family background, I came with aggregate 13, and due to the family background, I had to choose Bottrop for different reasons. Because of that pressure of, going every day and, from Monday to Friday asking for transport fares and all those things. It's a tall order, considering the family background. But again, things have to change, and if you're not getting what you want from where you are, you definitely have to move on. And from there, 1 year in Bottrop, then I moved to Masrur Senior Secondary School, where we were the first batch of the school. I sat to my grade 12, then from there, with at least with flying colors.
This time?
Yeah, with
this
flying
time
colors.
A little bit.
Yeah, at least a little bit.
Different from the.
Yeah. No, in grade 9 it was a very, very good result. But look, I think from onset I was an A student. Not trying to blow my own trumpet. I thought
but you want a little bit different.
I wanted at least a distinction. Exactly. From 6 to 12, that's where I belong. In grade 9. But unfortunately, I was one aggregate out of 6 to 12.
But it comes in grade 12.
Yeah, in grade 12, yeah. The credits were as many as, I wanted. And that was enough to take me to the university as well at the time. But again, like I said, when you come from a family that's always challenging, with perhaps mother not there, all those years, it becomes difficult, for the father alone to fend for you all those years, looking at they don't stay at home, they have to go struggle for the family and come back late into the night. So that was the kind of family that I lived in. And somehow, the financial muscles were not there again to take me to the university, because admission was already guaranteed, when I applied. Then from there, I had to go to the college to try a chance, when the form was $100 at that time.
Wow.
I cannot imagine how much is the form now.
No.
Went to the college,
Okay.
Trained to be a professional teacher, studied English language and science.
Wow.
Completed in 2012-13. Then the experience came. Then I had to move, to the Phoenix.
For the teaching plan?
Yeah, for the teaching.
Okay.
After completing college. But again, that was a good experience, as a teacher. We taught in Jamisa again, taught in Brikama, upper and senior, called Alpha Khan, taught in Kabafita up to 2018, Then from there, I thought it was time to go to the university again to move on. And at the university, I majored in English language again, because that has always been the dream for me, and minored in biology. Then when I completed in 2021, I went to the provinces where I worked under the Regional Education Directorate.
Okay. And which region was that?
Region 5 North.
Okay.
And our office was in Wasu.
Okay.
And then last month, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on where you are, I am back and currently doing my postings here. So that has been me, in my academic career. Yeah.
No, but you have a little bit touch on the university. Did I hear you mention that?
Yeah, I spoke about the university.
No. Okay, get it back.
At the university, yes, we were there in 2018. Like I said, I majored English and of course minored in biology. And at the time in the university, so many things happened. Probably this is what you want me to say. And I was part of the student leadership, the student union, the sports minister, to be precise. That was shortly before the COVID.
Okay.
And yes, we did our part, contributed. Then, in like I said, in 2020, I graduated with, at least with a good grade again, with honors, and then moved on.
So that was your major in English, right?
Yeah, that was majored in English.
So that's the great Lamin Jara. I call him the ink. You know why? Because the skill and the type of style of his writing are just second to none. So I'm just proud of you. That's Lamin. Okay, let's moving on, as they will always say. How does journalism, especially sport journalism, comes to you? The passion, were you motivated at somebody? Were you listening? How does it come to you? And when was this?
Yeah, journalism and sports and football in particular has always been the dream, for me, for all those years. You could see when I was trying to run down my biography and all what happened. Sometimes it's because of circumstances that are going to force you to do things that you were not looking forward to. But again, at least that is to help you to find a way out, and that was what happened to me. I did mention from grade 12 I wanted to go to the university, probably to study journalism and all those for the right reasons. But the muscles were not there, so I had to go and buy the form at the Gambia College for $100 here, and then that is where I picked it up as a teacher. But again, yes, you look at it, everybody of course has somebody to look up to. I think if I had my way at the time to choose which step I was going to take, it was always going to be journalism and of course football commentating. If possible, because this is where I have my passion. All those years when I was going to school, I was a keen listener of the BBC. Almost all programs. I could tell the schedule of which program is coming which day at which time. Early morning, BBC Network Africa. Before we go to school, we listen. And on Saturdays and Sundays, I do not go to the television to watch football. It was about Sports World when the great Rosel Fuller, was always
Rosel
there
Fuller.
to anchor the program. And this was a voice, that I admired most. I lock myself in my house, have my brother aside and do not want anybody to interrupt. All I wanted to hear was that man's voice, because he was great in the
Rosel
manner,
Fuller.
in the manner in which he presented, and bit by bit, the games that would come live on commentary. Then came the great commentators, the Ian Dennis, you name them, the Alan Greens. These were people that I looked up to and said, yes, I think this is great, and this is what I want to be, and that is where it all started.
Yeah, well, that is it. Of course, all of us have. In those days, I mean, it's different from now. I mean, you have to listen to BBC to get what the games are on. I mean, like the Fullers will always go to, how do they call this? Yeah, I forgot this, France, and there's this radio that they will always tune to, and I think basically this is where we all picked up. When you get into sport writing and comment, can you remember what games do you first covered, and how was it, and what was your responsibility?
Yeah, it was a long time, but again, it was a great experience. Yes, I could remember covering games, and it's difficult, and that is why the one sitting by my side will always go down as the best that has ever happened to my life, for all the right reasons. Because at the point when I was coming, I was like, okay, where will I get the ingredients? Was the environment there to make me climb the ladder of where I want to go and how it has to be? And yes, like you have always done to every sports reporter in this country, regardless of where they are, regardless of what they have achieved, they cannot tell their story without mentioning Big Sam. So I'm grateful for that, and I always say this: one of the best things that has happened in my life is working with Big Sam. I could remember back those days we used to cover the Nawetan, with Aliou Fall and all those things. You ask us to watch the games, write our reports, and come to the radio to have the program with you, and it paid dividend. If I could tell you, the first write-up I had is still with me.
Oh yeah.
Because every day I have to look at that write-up and know and gauge myself to know how far have I gone all these years. So I think that was great. And I could remember we went to cover a game was it a zonal game?
Okay.
In 2009, was it? Yes, at the Independence Stadium.
The stadium, yeah.
And you were like doing the commentary, and ML was sitting by your side, and at a point of time, what point in time did you run out of gas? I don't know, but you were coughing, and ML said, Big Sam, give it to him. He can do some commentary.
He can do something. Yeah.
And you said, thank you. This is what I was looking for. At least for the next 10 minutes or so, somebody is here at least to talk you through. And that was the first time for me, with the microphone, trying to look at the events of 11v11 running and kicking the ball and trying to describe. The games. That was the first time on the spotlight. Exactly. Although I used to hide myself in the house, trying to pretend as if I'm watching Manchester United and Liverpool play, and trying to do commentaries here and there. But this was the first time, for me, and that was great. This is a day and a moment that I will cherish forever. It was a zonal game at the Independence Stadium.
I remember very well.
Yeah, from then on,
they are everything. Yeah. Well, that is great, Lamin. But before we go about Gambian football, I want you to, because not only me, and this is not a praise, but many people like your writing, your coverage, your ball to. I mean, there are so many awards that win as the best commentator, the best writer, and all the stuff. Do your major in English in the university, couple of with it, have something to mold you into that fine writer and kind of a game commentator?
Yeah, I think that has been a factor. You look at it, find if the passion is there, but then if the stuff is not there to put the ideas together, it always becomes difficult. And many a time, these are the challenges that we find out there. I can say one thing for free is, I mean, that English background from school, you know, you go to the upper basic school, you look at my records, you know, I cannot remember the last time I scored a B2. I have been an A1 student when it came to English.
Wow.
And in the senior secondary category, the same thing. And when I went to the college, I majored in English. I taught English language and literature in English, would you believe it, for the best part of 7-8 years. So, you know, anybody who knows these two subjects, literature in particular and English in general, what they require, you know, all your life is to help students to be able to speak good English, to be able to write good English, to be able to communicate, you know, you correct their mistakes, sentences here and there, and you know, using of words, you know, that has been my life for 8 years. So that has been a great weapon for me in terms of writing, in terms of trying to express myself in what I want to do, what I want to say, you know, in terms of trying to do the commentary, you know, and try to describe things based on how they are, and the words keep on flowing, and that's just
you cannot
it.
just help
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Well, that is it. Remember, you watching Sports 360 Live on Atlantic TV, the home of TV Revolution. I'm Bakary Manneh, aka Big Sam, the host, and Lamin Jara, aka Steve, aka INK, the Ink, is here with me today. Now, let's talk about Gambian football. You've watched a lot of Gambian football. You cover a lot of Gambian, from Nawetan to zonal to the national side. What can you tell my viewers about the Gambian football? And let me not forget this. The days that I took you guys and sent you on coverages, you know, those days and today, how can you value between them?
Yeah, I think so many things have happened, and I would have loved us to spend the whole day, you know, to talk about what you have done and how much you have impacted our lives,
Right.
you know, in what we do today. You know, we cannot talk about ourselves.
Yeah.
We cannot write our resume or our CV without mentioning one Big Sam, you know. Yeah, little bit different perhaps, looking at all those years that you used to send us for coverage and have our match reports and come to the radio and we present and you engage us in open discussions.
Yeah.
You know, that was a time in which, you know, the ingredients were there, the platform was there, and whatever you do was under scrutiny by the right people. You know, the right place for you, because you know, look, I have to deliver when I go to cover games. A lot has been expected of me, and I have to deliver to the utmost, and that is what has been the difference. We go out there, we write our stories, we look at it, and then come to the program. You give us the microphone, we present what we have seen, and discuss what we think should have been and could have been. You know, I think that was more of an education stuff for us to move to the next level than where we are currently, because now it's different. You know, those things don't happen, and what we have to do is we go and cover games, we come back, we write in our platforms, and you know, it's about what we see and we write, but there is no that master who will be there to make sure he edits what you do and how you do it, and what message do you want to send across, what message is right for the people to consume, and what message is not right for the people to consume at a particular point in time. There is no that Big Sam anymore, or of course now that has been limited at
the moment.
those days the door was open and we are all there, but perhaps that's life, because we are all, you know, Big Sam is busy and it is evolving. Sometimes to get him sit down and look at all the things is always, he's a busy guy, so it's always difficult for us to have him because his time is expensive. But that has been the difference. But over, you know, all in all, it has been more of learning and getting the right things, the right stuff, you know, in the right way, on the right, you know, platform, with the right spoon, with the right passing back those days.
Back in those days.
But now we don't.
So-
Just have to.
So let's now talk about Gambian football. Like I said, you covered a lot. Do from Nawetan to the zonal to the divisional team. What do you want to kind of share with my audience on this? The Gambian football in general, the ups and downs or whatever.
Yeah, Gambian football is something that I have followed now for a while.
Yeah.
In fact,
Yeah.
now I can leave the international games there, regardless of who is playing. The biggest game in world football, I can leave it there and go to the village to watch the next game that the children are about to play. Or the under 15s are about to play. Up to the first division, the national team, the women football. In the past 2 years, I have watched almost every team play in the women first division and even in the second division, and even this year in the third division of the West Coast female. So yeah, it's a lot when it comes to Gambian football. You look at it, we are a football loving nation. This is a country where football is the order of the day, and everybody is taking it. It's becoming a religion, if you like, and everybody is practicing it. And you look at it compared to how it was all those years. Now people want to move forward. People are kind of, success is being demanded for every team, from every set of people that have come together and they are governing football, from every player, every supporter, every personnel that is involved in football. Success is demanded, and people are more involved. You look at women football in particular. Over the years, nobody tells you anything about who scored which team, apart from Police and Red Scorpions. These are the only teams we can mention. Now we can, people can tell you how many goals have Kumba Kasama scored, how many assists have Kumba Kuyate, has, TMT, what the number of points, what is needed for them to win the league. So everybody is involved now. People can leave their work and go and watch this women football. Just day before yesterday, our national team, the under 20, went to Cote d'Ivoire and lost the game. But again, people followed it. And people love it, and people want to see light at the end of the tunnel. So, and I think with the right structures, with the right people, with the right project, we will be there. But again, it will be tough for us to be there. But again, with determination, we will be there. So that's Gambian football. And I think you look at what we have done for the past 2, 3, 4 years. It's something remarkable. You look at us in the national level or the national front. We have never qualified before. But that's history now. You can almost talk about Gambia has never qualified. We've gone to 2 AFCONs consecutively, and when it comes to qualifications, we are almost a whisker away from qualifying. And you look at the bunch of players that are rising from the academies, from the grassroots, making the headlines is just huge. It's just huge. So I think we are moving to the right direction.
All right, let's talk about the main football, especially the first division. Yes, we know it was one of the most watched, and then it drops, then it come back again. And I think that's the feeder to the national side, which we are, like you said, we've qualified, and now we're aiming to go to the World Cup, etc. The composition of the teams and the game in the first division, the male.
Yeah, you look at the first division, like you said, over the years, the transformation has just been incredible. Because once upon a time, nobody was interested on who plays, who doesn't play, who is winning it. Because up to date, as we speak, it's very difficult for some people, for some people who are actively involved now, to tell you what has happened some couple of years ago. Unless they have to dig history, and sometimes it's very difficult to get what you want from this website. So there has to be people who were there before. Then all of a sudden it took a dramatic twist, and everybody began to take part. I think when these community teams began to come in, when new teams began to come in, and people began to invest in new teams, and communities, people, fans, began to come and watch games, and all of a sudden this thing kind of helped, the division, and all up to a point. You look at the number of teams, that have relegated over the years, and their crowd that they carry, and the number of teams that have been promoted to the division, and the number of, the crowd that they have behind them. I think this has also, immensely contributed. At a point now, it's about the communities now. It's no more like, okay, it's an individual team, and therefore we are allow them to paddle their own canoe. Now everybody is taking part. The likes of, you look at Fortune, the likes of Brikama, the likes of even Real. Now people will come out and follow them, and this thing helps. And now that, although for the past 3 seasons, it has always been one team dominating, but that's expected, and we can be forgiven for that. You look at even in the world over, there are, Manchester City almost turned the Premier League into Farmers League. They will tell you, Paris are on that course. Hadn't been it wearing for Leverkusen last season, Bayern would have been another record set. So if we have a team that is winning our league, twice, thrice in a row, on a quadruple, I think it's it might not be good for the competition, but for the fact that they are pushed to the corner and there is always a title race, that tells you that everybody is in it, and the debates, the topics, the talking points in every media, platform, in every WhatsApp forum, tells you that, people are involved now. Those years, people don't talk about our first division, and nobody was interested. That has changed.
That has changed drastically. So I think that, but one of the stumbling block in the government for people will tell you infrastructure. And well, thank you. Some of the big teams, the likes of Real, the Banjul, they have gathered their own in Basor, go to Hawks in Kabekel, go to the just newly Dutch Lion, the guarded somewhere in Aliu's home village in Sotoka, I don't know, Faraba on the highway out there. The kids that have never seen football can go and watch those stuff right there, But just of recent, we have temporarily been open after the ban about after 4 years or so, which is temporal. That from the 23 onwards, we'll try to play, but not the seniors. What can you tell about the infrastructure? Because some will tell us the stumbling block of
I think infrastructure is important in anything, in any development. We know development is a process, but again, we need the fixed, assets to be there to make sure that we build on them. And for far too long, we have cried about it, and people have lamented that infrastructural development when it comes to Gambian football is way well behind. But again, like you just highlighted, in recent years, some of the first division teams are trying to establish their own grounds. You look at Gambinos. I was there some 3 weeks ago. The place is just fantastic. It's just great, and you do not need billions to build what they have built in Gambinos. I spoke to the owner, and these are, the CEO, that's the wife of the man who invested, and they were like, we this is what we are able to do. We are able to do it this way and that way, and when you have time, you can come and we take a tour inside for you to see what we have been doing here. I was like, if every team can have this, if every club in the first division at least can have this is going to be massive, and it's going to be great. Recently, you've seen Dutch Lion, they're trying to do something in Faraba. Hawks have come from all the way from Banjul or in the KMs to go to Kabakel and have their own ground. And yes, I think that is something that is helping. But again, you look at other clubs, they do not have any chance of getting this, and that is definitely a stumbling block for them in terms of development. I think the infrastructure has to be there, and teams in the first division, again, we know football is expensive. They will always tell you that. We have had that over and over, but plans have to be in place to make sure that at least first division teams have grounds as required. Yeah, you look at the national team, our independent stadium of recent years. For the best part of 4 years, we have not been allowed to play there due to restrictions that our stadium is substandard, and nobody in world football, will want to play in a stadium whose requirements are substandard. And FIFA or CAF, together with CAF, did the needful, and they thought it wise that the best they can do is to suspend us from playing home unless and until certain requirements are met and certain ingredients are put in place. And the people concerned, the authority, have at least put their hands on deck. They've tried to put things together, and although some might say that is still not enough, but that's development for you. It's inconsistent. It kind of sometimes takes a process, and inconsistent, one step forward, another step backward, then bit by bit you build from it. But again, I think we have done well during the course of the 4 years. Despite the fact that we are not playing at home, we have proven beyond reasonable doubt that we are a team with a difference. We have qualified for 2 AFCONs like we highlighted before, and we have gone out there. But again, that has been a hindrance for our development. Sometimes certain games that we lost outside, it makes you wonder, had it been played at the Independence Stadium, it's going to be a different thing. But again, they have responded well. The authorities have come, they've inspected the place, they've listed what is required, and they have responded well. And you look at the requirements now, I'm not sure we are far away from giving the ban being lifted 100%. I'm not sure we are far away.
But
we are almost there.
Maybe before or something
but
like
because
that.
they have given they have given their blessings that these are the requirements that are left. And you look at most of the requirements now, they are not about infrastructure. They are not about something that has to be fixed. It's about during the match day, what are some of the things that need to be in place for the match to go on. So, we hope and pray that we have a full ban lifted so that we can be at home and we can enjoy our football again. But we should not, so many people have gone out there and we have celebrated the 2 match, being given to us to play. I think that's not enough as a country. We should think bigger, and we should move on to the next level, and that's just to give us a chance to see whether we can. But to me, that's not satisfying enough. Looking at a country that wants to move forward, we should be working to make sure we meet all requirements and we have our home back and our fans back, and the people will be happy. At
the Independence Stadium. There you go. We don't have much time, but I have to touch this. The next FF election will be coming up sometime next year. Mr. Kababajo is not somebody who is coming, but then I don't want to touch that. But the RFA, the regional football associations are all doing their, executives, and then just recently, last weekend was the West Coast region. I know my home in Kiang LRR also did theirs, etc. How do you see what is the most important of these RFAs in the system itself before we go?
Yeah, it's important. The RFAs, they are working to me, because if GFF is the umbrella body, they are the branches to make sure that they make sure that sports is evolving and is moving to the next level in their regions. And I think the importance of the RFAs cannot be underestimated. Definitely, it cannot be underestimated. They are the torchbearer. They are the eye, the muscles of the GFF. To make sure that they filter what they want to filter down. And recently, like you said, there has been elections all over. Elective congresses all over. Just last week on Saturday, it was the West Coast and LRR, and you look at it, like I said earlier, people are getting involved now and then. All those years, you come to the FA, you don't know who is the regional president, you don't know who is the secretary, you don't know who is responsible for what, because people were just not interested. But now everybody is aware, everybody is interested, and everybody feels that they have a responsibility to deliver, so they have to come forward to deliver. In LRR, there was an election, and the incumbent won. I think, that shows you that the people are happy with the development that is going on there, because elections will always speak for you. If the people have decided to go for change, then that's it.
And I think that the same thing happened in West Coast too.
In West Coast, they only have one member who is new. That is the second vice president. That is Samba Keita from Fonyi. Other than that, it has been the same executive that has been there. I think it's good. And Banjul will be coming shortly, not long. Will be coming on shortly, and it's good. Yeah, to cap it off. We saw the women. Also, the women federation also had, although they were planning to have it, and these things happen. But it's good that these things happen. It's good that people come together, and there is that battle of ideas positively. There is that exchange of what should be done right, what should not be done right, what do we think is done wrong, so that together we can have it on a good plate, and the common goal will be reached.
Lamin Jara, it's been a very good one. But before we go, I might not ask you questions regarding sports or in this interview that you want my viewers or the general public to know. What would you tell them?
Yeah,
that's purely you and them.
Yeah, it has been a great time here, but again, like you just mentioned, that's why I said it would have been I would have loved it for us to have the whole day to talk about sports and the, football in general. We are moving to the right direction. To everybody who is involved, we have to be calm. We have to play our roles. We all have roles to play, and we have to come on board to play our roles to make sure that development is reached at come the near future. But again, it's a gradual process. It's not on a silver plate. Again, some people have to suffer, some people have to sacrifice, some people have to spend sleepless nights to make sure that these things happen. So, but again, we just have to make sure that in all these things, because there are regional congresses going on all over the place, and a lot of talks here and there, and people hustle and hurry one another. But again, we should understand that at the end of the day, politics should not divide us. It should just make us better. It should just bring us together, and we have to keep our heads calm, so that nobody loses his head in this, and together, we will move this country to another level in terms of sports.
Well, finally, before you go, Mr. Jara, because I know people got a very, very good program. I can even attest to that. And I'm so happy to definitely be here. And then, like you said, he's been here, and this is not going to be the final. But finally, from you, before you go, we must give a big shout out to our very one guy, Ganso, and all the group out there. And then, all the FAs across the Gambia, thanks. And then, let's try to move it like Jara said, slowly but surely. But finally, from you, Jara.
Yeah, of course. It has been a pleasure to be on board. When Big Sam calls, you must, M-U-S-T, capital, you must rush. Leave whatever you are doing and rush. Yeah. So that was why when the telephone call came, the answer was always obvious, looking at where it all started from. I keep on saying this, and I will say this clear today, like the source of every motion is greater than the motion itself. That's what the scientists said. And I can go to any platform and beat my chest and say, I am where I am because Big Sam laid the foundation blocks. So we cannot pay you, and it's only God and what you have been doing. It's not only I. If other people come, they will talk about it for years to come. So it has just been brilliant, and the best thing that has happened in our lives is, to be in a place where there is Big Sam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Lamin Jara, a.k.a. Steve, one of Gambia's finest sports journalists and sport writer too, and a commentator. Thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed that. Of course, we are live here next week, every Sunday from the 8 to 9 o'clock on Atlantic TV, the home of TV Rover. Was Sport 360. Yeah, a big thanks to the assistant camera people, Aliu, the ladies, the jobs, and Cisse and you, and of course the one that is behind the curtain, that is the one doing every engineer, that is my own cameraman, of course, now elevated to the studio technician, and that is no other than, that is Edward Nuha Baji. Well, staff and manager of Atlantic TV, thank you so much. From me, Big Sam, Sport 360 Lad will be back again next Sunday. Hope you enjoy it. On that note, keep on sporting and bye-bye.